I'm only halfway through that book right now. It's mind blowing to say the least. Have you read it, and do you buy into the thesis there of, I guess, man being the mimetic animal and that giving rise to institutions and ritual and all of this?
Well, there's a problem about how do you form an initial preference for something. So, somebody has to care about something sooner or later. I think it's an overblown, wonderful thesis. And I think that Girard's fearlessness, I mean, you have to appreciate also that my good friend, employer, and billionaire Peter Thiel lives by this book. And I think he thinks that Girard helped him become rich beyond imagination. And I think it's a wonderful concept that I often say that Peter is not the world's richest person, but he's the world's richest applied philosopher. And sometimes somebody gets something out of a particular individual nobody else can discern. Like George Soros got something out of Karl Popper the rest of us must have missed.
Right.
So it's not just a question about is the book a good book, but is it the book for you?
Yeah. Taleb is a big Popper fan as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Taleb, I haven't thought about that. Taleb is, I don't want to represent Nassim because Nassim is a friend of mine who I think very highly of. Now, that said, I've been very lucky to have had the benefit of his one-on-one interaction. And I often think that he's better one-on-one by a long shot than he is in groups. He's better in book form. The problem is that so much of what he has to say is adjacent to things that he isn't saying. So if you remember the Kathy Newman interview of Jordan Peterson, so what you're really saying is, Nassim spends his life being misinterpreted.
Right.
And so he's built an entire personality around imbecile, idiot. He's just constantly calling people names. And I don't think that's really the key to who he is. I think he's a guy who wants to say subtle things that gets heard as saying stupid things or mean things, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's just tired of it. So he's very tough to talk about because people feel like they know him, and I don't really think that they do.
No, I don't claim to know him at all, but I am a huge fan of his writing. So
I have to be careful. I ended up in a Bitcoin room about Nassim. People were very, very friendly about it. And then when I left, they're like, went after me. And then, we've been through some stuff, Bitcoiners and me, and I think we're in a better place. But I think that this issue about suspicion and misinterpretation and all of this kind of stuff is really important. That when people don't have a chance to hear, they tend to make the assumption that they do know what somebody's saying because there's nothing new to say. And this is what I call snap to grid intellectualism.
Okay.
In snap to grid intellectualism, the idea is that you just assume that I've heard everything before. This is one of the big problems with the Bitcoiners is that they've had so many, again, I don't want to put the fault on the Bitcoiners. They've seen certain patterns so often that they've got meme templates. I just heard about Bitcoin and I'm here to fix it. That's one of them.
This is very similar to the Taleb dynamic you just described, actually. Bitcoiners have heard all the same tropes or same misinterpretations of the Bitcoin thesis so many times, they become very dismissive.
Well, this goes back to your earlier point, Robert, where you were saying, when do you automate something? So in general, what happens when I've heard 1,000 people make the exact same cognitive mistake and the 1,001st person says something very similar and I just brush it off?